Okay, here we go.
Welcome to the American Diversity Report podcast, where we interview diverse change makers and wonderful innovators. I'm Deborah Levine, editor of the American Diversity Report, and your host. And with me today is Nagwan Zahry. She is assistant professor of communication at the University of Tennessee, Chattanooga. She got her PhD from Michigan State University in 2017 in media and information. She was hired as an assistant professor of communication in Michigan State University after graduation, and she joined UTC in 2018. Her research focuses on science communication, health communication, and persuasive messaging. She teaches social media marketing, public relations, media, and diversity. Welcome.
Thank you very much for having me today. Thank you.
My pleasure, as always. So tell us a little bit about why all of this is so important to you, so vital in your work.
So I was interested in communication when I was in Egypt. It was part of my work as an associate director for a funded project by USAID that focuses on educational reform. So part of my job was to communicate with many stakeholders, including officials in the US Embassy, teachers, principals, administrators in the Egyptian Ministry of Education. Also, I was managing a team of marketing and communication. So we developed case studies, lesson learned, brochures, and flyers. I gave presentations about the program development and initiatives that we do to encourage principals and teachers to improve their active learning techniques. As part of my job, I was so excited to get accepted in Michigan State University to do my PhD in the area of communication with special focus on information and media. So I was so excited to apply all the concepts of communication in different programs related to community development. And as part of my PhD program, I had to learn how we can develop persuasive messages as part of communicating for health purposes.
You've been busy.
It was a very interesting journey, like coming from Egypt with all my professional expertise in PR and advertising and communication, and learning a lot from all my professors in Michigan State University about how we can communicate based on social behavior theories, how we can persuade people based on evidence-based studies. So it was a very, very exciting experience.
Well, tell us a little bit about your research in this and what has surprised you about it.
So my research evolved over time. When I started in Michigan State, I started with a special interest in food marketing, eating behaviors, what triggers people to eat in a very specific way, how consumers, they purchase food, how companies, they market their products, and how persuasive messages can be part of healthy eating behavior change. So I was so excited about eating behaviors from a health communication perspective. And one main focus of my research was how companies market their products based on different theories. One special type of food that I was interested in was genetically engineered food, food that is not grown naturally. It was manufactured in labs. Uh, so that was my first, let's say, my first research interest. And now I'm looking at health communication for low-income families. My latest research was related to how low-income families acted during COVID-19. So I looked at lifestyle behaviors and mental health among low-income families during COVID-19. What were the barriers? What were the approaches to overcome all the barriers from low-income parents' perspectives?
Wow, that's amazing.
Thank you. I really like to look at social behaviors. Another area that I started recently is to look at the economic cost of child obesity, how much obesity among children can cost us. So I'm currently doing a study with my colleagues in Michigan State University about the financial costs of childhood obesity.
Well, we need that more than ever these days, do we not?
Yes, definitely,
Wow.
especially with the rise of obesity and with the lockdown and COVID-19 and frustration and everything that happened during this frustrating period. Eating behaviors change. There are mental health problems associated with emotional eating and gaining weight among low-income families. So I was so interested to study how COVID-19 as a crisis can affect people's lifestyle, including eating behaviors, sleeping, exercising.
Yes. There will be a lot of people listening to this podcast who will resonate to the weight gain issue during COVID, including myself. Oh dear, it is a major issue, and it will be more so going forward.
Yeah, it's a main challenge for everyone.
Yeah.
Like for students, I can see how mental health problems are really a big challenge for them. For us as professors, for my friends everywhere, everyone suffers from COVID-19. Yeah, it will be interesting to see coping strategies as well, which is something I looked at as part of the lifestyle behavior and mental health studies that I did. We looked at coping strategies. Some interesting findings are related to how exercise and even walking for a short period of time can influence low-income families' mental health. Streets, neighborhoods are very important because they are free. Kids and parents, they can just go and walk or play. So there are many implications of lockdown and quarantine on urban planning, like how we can make our streets even safer for kids and for people who want just to have a walk.
Yes, indeed. Oh my. Oh my goodness. I think we'll have to have a whole separate podcast about the urban planning situation for sure. But in the meantime, I understand that you are teaching this humane communication course with a focus on diversity.
Mm-hmm.
What is that like?
It's very interesting. Like the topic of diversity and inclusion is very interesting from my own perspective and from students' perspectives. So in during the semester, we talk about different dimensions of diversity, including sexual orientation, gender, religion, and what I really like about this course is to give students practical experience in evaluating and assessing diversity from a marketing and public relations perspective. So, for example, if they want to design a brochure or a website for a company from a communication perspective, how they can include different dimensions of diversity in the writing, in the visuals they use, how they can criticize and assess whether a company is interested in enhancing diversity. What are some of the programs and initiatives that companies and organizations are implementing just to make everyone feel welcome, to make everyone feel included in the community, whether it's a big community or a small community at the level of a university or an organization, a nonprofit organization. And I was so impressed by students' reaction, positive reactions. Some of them, they discussed their own personal experiences with diversity, which is part of the course outcome learning. So I want them to tell stories about how they were subject to any issue related to diversity and how they address it. So it was a very interesting interactive course that I taught for the first time, but it's really very impressive how students reacted to it. Like based on student feedback, they were very, very interested to learn about uh, diversity in marketing and in social media. Um, so it's something I'm so happy about it.
Wonderful. Now I understand this is the first time this course was offered.
Correct.
So what do you expect to change as you go forward?
I want to add more dimensions of diversity. I know that I have only 15 weeks, which is a semester length, but I want to give students a broader view of diversity. Social class can be part of the new additions that I want to add. I want them to apply, to give them more application rather than theory. So I am looking for more assignments related to assessing and creating content, like marketing content related to diversity and inclusion.
Wonderful. Oh, that will be wonderful for them as they go forward into their careers to have that experience. Go you.
Thank you.
And for our audience, just to know that you and I have collaborated in the past, have presented to your class, and most recently on religious diversity, and they will find your students' papers up on the American Diversity Report.
Yeah.
And,
Actually,
yes.
yeah, actually, your session as a guest speaker in my media and diversity class was so interesting for students. Like I got some feedback from students about uh, your background, because you give them a background about your education, your family. So they were very, very excited about your presentation and for the contribution in the report, the diversity report that you're managing. We had very good contributions, but I guess students were looking for an outlet that helps them express their ideas, what they think about diversity. So thank you very much for being part of the class. I so
Oh,
much appreciate your coming as a guest speaker
it
and
was
you're introducing the report to them. That was great. Thank you.
my pleasure. My pleasure. It is always so satisfying to work with students as they make their journey forward into their careers. And it's one of those things where we plant seeds and watch them blossom as the years go by and change our culture and society for the better.
Yeah. And going back to your question about what I want to do to improve the course or to add to the course, I want them instead of writing a paper to act, to have a play related to diversity. So instead of just reading their perceptions about diversity, I want to see them acting in a play that is written, acted by them
Oh,
about any topic related to diversity and their life, how they can portray and communicate diversity in actions.
wonderful. Oh, you're giving me some ideas here.
I'm trying to get you hooked to the class. Like, yeah, most of the assignments are related to papers. Write a research paper. Um, um, for me, I want them to do something more creative. Like the area of communication and social media is all about creativity and writing, of course. But I want them to experience something different in the media and diversity class. I want them to act, to think about a story, and they write the script and they act to show us how they can ensure diversity in their actions in a community, in a nonprofit organization, in a company.
Yes. Well, this would be wonderful. And you and I are going to have a conversation about this one for
Yeah.
sure. Oh, and to our audience, right? If you've done something like this.
Well, it was my dream during my PhD program. So
Okay.
I had an interesting suggestion to my advisor.
Ah.
So I suggested to him, instead of writing a dissertation, is to dance my
Oh.
dissertation, do like an act, dancing act with other students. It's part of new ways of communicating science.
Yes, it is.
Instead of just writing a dissertation, 400-page dissertation, how about we be more artistic and be creative, and let's do like a show or a play based on our research questions, our hypotheses. I was so excited about it. And I really appreciate that my advisor, Dr. John Besley, was so understanding to my creativity aspect. He didn't say no, but he didn't support it either. I ended up writing like, I don't know, like 200-page dissertation as usual. But I still have this dream, the thing that I wished I could do it.
Uh-huh. Yes. Well, you know what? Now that you've said this, yes, indeed. I'm thinking about it because I agree that the arts are a way to influence people at a level, right, that is deep but fun, right, and makes a difference. And I've been a dancer and that I have taught dancing all my life. And it's been an amazing way, right, to engage people as well as teach and open the windows to another world and different communities. So we're going to have to come back and talk about that one for sure.
Yeah, I want to clarify that my suggestion is just not like a personal preference. It's based on research and literature. Like
Yes,
from a visual communication perspective, people they like to see, people they like to connect, right? So
yes,
instead of writing a post um, or reading a press release, why not to see it? Like now, even the trend is infographics because it's visual,
yes,
right?
yes,
But how about animation? Like how about we make everything more personal so people they can connect
yes,
with the
yes,
message? So
absolutely. Are you a dancer?
yes,
I love it.
yes,
Okay. All
yeah.
right. I'm speechless because my mind is going a mile a minute about the future, what we can do, and so agree with you. And oh goodness, is there anything else you'd like to add, about this or anything else before we wrap up?
Um, yeah, I want to share something that I'm so excited about it.
Please.
As part of my job as an assistant professor in the University of Tennessee at Chattanooga, I am managing an artificial intelligence guest speaker series where we invite researchers, scholars, people from the industry to present any topics related to artificial intelligence. So,
Wonderful.
as part of our efforts to make AI series and presentations available for the public, we are creating now a website that can include every presenters and presentation and recordings, and it will be available and accessible to everyone. That's something I'm so excited about it. The website will be up probably in February 2022. And so far, we had great presenters from Michigan State University, from the industry, from other universities in the US. So, yeah, that's something.
Wonderful. Oh, I can hardly wait. Yes, that's a great idea. So relevant these days. We'll need to talk about that too in the future.
Sure,
And
sure.
we'll connect and collaborate and do all sorts of wonderful things to make sure people understand that this is available to them and how to make sure they can have access to it. All
Yeah,
right.
especially now with artificial intelligence and concerns about privacy. Learning about AI as part of our life is very, very crucial.
Yes, indeed. Well, thank you so much, Nagwan. This has been a wonderful time to get together. And even though you and I have collaborated in the past, I have learned things about you today that I hadn't known before. Isn't that fun? It's just a pleasure as always. And your students are very fortunate to have you.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate the opportunity and thank you very much for having me.
A pleasure. Audience, you're going to love this one. You're going to be thinking about your own communication styles and how you process what you see and hear. And we'll see you back soon again. Thank you.
Thank you.